China just built the world's first robot phone, and it's called the Honor Robot Phone. This isn't a concept. It isn't a render. It was revealed on stage at MWC 2026 in front of every major tech outlet on the planet, and it is coming to market before the end of this year. Most people scrolled past the headline. They saw a robot phone and assumed it was a gimmick, a marketing stunt, another tech company trying to seem different. Those people missed something enormous, because what Honor built isn't a smarter phone. It isn't a phone with better specs. It is a fundamentally different kind of device, one that can see, think, move, and act on its own. And there is one feature in particular, a camera with its own mechanical head that changes everything we thought we knew about what a phone could be. But before we get to that, you need to understand what the Honor Robot Phone actually is, because most people have it completely wrong. You have been using phones the same way your entire life. You pick it up, you unlock it, you tap, you swipe. The phone does what you tell it, when you tell it. You are in control. The phone waits. That has been the relationship between humans and smartphones for almost 20 years. You are the pilot. The phone is the plane. And the plane never moves unless you tell it to. Honor just changed that dynamic entirely. The Honor Robot Phone is not designed to wait for you. It is designed to act for you. The difference between those two things is much bigger than it sounds. Think about what acting for you actually means in practice. It means the phone can take initiative. It can perceive its environment. It can make decisions. It can move, not metaphorically, literally move. There are physical robotic components inside this device that allow it to do things no phone has ever done before. Now here's where most people get confused. When you say robot phone, people immediately picture something out of a science fiction movie, a phone that walks, a phone with legs, something absurd and impractical. That's not what this is. What Honor built is something more subtle and honestly, far more impressive. They took the precision engineering of robotics and miniaturized it. They packed it into a device that fits in your hand, and they fused it with artificial intelligence that can think and respond in real time with no delay, without needing the internet to work. The result is a phone that doesn't just respond to your taps and swipes. It responds to the world around it. And when you see what that actually looks like in practice, when you fully understand what this thing can do, the word phone starts to feel like the wrong label entirely. But here's the thing that the headlines haven't captured. The most remarkable part of this story isn't the concept, it's the engineering. Because what Honor had to build, from scratch, using components that flat out didn't exist anywhere in the industry, is one of the most ambitious hardware projects in the history of consumer electronics. And to understand what they pulled off, you first need to understand the problem they were facing. Building a robot phone sounds simple until you actually try to do it. Think about what a modern smartphone already is. It's a slim, millimeter-thin slab of glass and aluminum. There is almost no space inside it. Every cubic millimeter is already spoken for. The battery, the processor, the antennas, the cameras, the cooling system. Engineers spend years figuring out how to fit everything in there. It is a masterclass in spatial constraint. Now try adding a robotic arm to that. That was Honor's challenge. The motors that power robotic systems, even compact ones, are too large, too heavy, too power-hungry. The materials strong enough to handle the mechanical stress of repetitive movement are typically too thick for a smartphone body. Every existing option in the industry was the wrong size, the wrong weight, or the wrong power draw. The standard components simply did not fit. So Honor built their own. They developed a micro motor completely from the ground up, and what they produced is 70% smaller than anything else in the industry. You heard that right. That is not an incremental improvement over existing technology. That is a complete reimagining of what a miniature motor can be. Despite being that small, this motor is powerful enough to drive what Honor calls the industry's smallest, 4-degree of freedom gimbal system, meaning the camera arm can move in 4 distinct ways simultaneously with a precision that sounds almost impossible at this scale. But the motor was only part of the problem. The arm itself needed to be light enough not to throw off the balance of the phone and strong enough to survive years of real-world use, the drops, the pressure, the daily punishment that every smartphone endures. Honor solved this with titanium alloy, one of the strongest and lightest materials on Earth, the kind of material you find in aerospace components and surgical instruments. And those components are engineered to a simulation accuracy of 0.001 millimeters. To put that in perspective, a single strand of human hair is about 2.5 thousandths of an inch wide. Honor is working at tolerances finer than that. The structural materials in the arm operate at 2,800 megapascals of tensile strength. That is an aerospace-grade specification built into a consumer phone. And then there is the battery. Every robotic movement draws power. A standard lithium battery would have struggled to keep up with the extra energy demands without growing to an impractical size. So Honor engineered a silicon-carbon anode battery, a next-generation chemistry that maximizes capacity within a dramatically smaller physical footprint. Every single piece of this phone was either reinvented or custom-built for this specific purpose. There was no off-the-shelf solution. There was no template to follow. Honor had to build the path from nothing. No one in the world has done this. Not Apple, not Samsung, not Google, not any of the companies with every reason to try. Honor got there first. But all of that engineering, the micro motor, the titanium arm, the aerospace materials, the precision tolerances, every bit of it exists in service of one thing: a camera with its own head. And once you see what it can do, everything else clicks into place. You have seen phone cameras before. You have watched them improve every single year. More lenses, bigger sensors, better night mode, better zoom. You have never seen anything like this. The Honor robot phone has a camera that physically moves on its own, not a software pan, not a digital crop. It physically moves. There is a robotic arm built into the back of the phone, and mounted on that arm is a camera module with its own mechanical head. That head can tilt, it can pan, it can nod, and it can rotate a full 360 degrees. 360 degrees. You heard that right? A complete rotation. Forward, backward, sideways. Any direction it chooses, at any time. The arm itself is concealed inside a raised compartment at the back of the phone when it is not in use. A sliding protective cover with a transparent window sits over the camera, so the phone can still take photos even with the arm retracted. When the arm deploys, it extends outward with the controlled precision of a robotic system, because that is exactly what it is. The sensor housed inside that moving head is 200 megapixels, one of the highest resolution sensors ever placed in a smartphone. But that number, as impressive as it is almost beside the point here. The story is the movement. Honor calls this a 4 degrees of freedom gimbal. In plain language, 4 degrees of freedom means the camera can move in 4 distinct, independent ways at the same time. 3 axes of rotation plus the additional range provided by the robotic arm itself. What that means in real terms is that this camera can point in virtually any direction, stabilize itself against vibration and shake, and reposition itself with mechanical precision without you ever touching the phone. Picture this. You set your Honor robot phone flat on a table. You stand up and walk to the other side of the room. The camera head lifts, turns, and finds your face. You step to the left. It follows. You step back. It compensates. You are never out of frame. You never adjusted the phone. You never said a word. Honor calls this AI object tracking. The camera is not just moving randomly. It is thinking. It is analyzing what it sees in real time, predicting where you are going, and moving to stay locked on you. Then there is AI SpinShot. This is where it stops being a camera feature and becomes a cinematography tool. SpinShot allows the camera to execute smooth, intentional 90-degree and 180-degree rotational movements while you are actively filming, creating cinematic transitions that would normally require a dedicated camera rig, a trained operator, and a post-production team. The Honor Robot phone does it in a single take, with one hand autonomously. When action moves fast, a child running, a crowd at a concert, super steady video mode kicks in, using the full mechanical range of the gimbal to absorb every jolt and keep the subject perfectly centered. This is the kind of stabilization professionals pay thousands of dollars to achieve with dedicated equipment. And then there is the moment that made audiences at MWC 2026 actually stop and stare. You ask the phone a yes or no question. The camera head nods, up and down, a physical gesture, a human-readable signal produced by a machine. And when music starts to play, the camera moves to the beat. It responds to rhythm. It responds to sound. It is expressive in a way that no camera on any device has ever been before. For every phone you have ever owned, the camera was a lens. It sat there and waited for you to point it at something. The Honor Robot phone's camera is the face of the device. It sees the world. It responds to the world. It expresses itself to the world, and it is powered by an AI system that makes all of it possible. An AI system backed by a bet so large, it signals that Honor is not just launching a product. They are launching a new era. Here's the thing about autonomous technology. It's easy to be impressed by it in a demo. It's something else to understand what it means in your actual everyday life. So let's walk through it. You set your Honor Robot phone on a desk. You walk away. A notification arrives, a meeting request from someone you've been trying to connect with for weeks. The phone doesn't just show you the notification. It checks your calendar, identifies an open time, and sends a confirmation. You didn't ask it to. You didn't know it happened until it was already done. Or this. You're cooking dinner, both hands occupied. You need a recipe step, a measurement conversion, a timer, and a reply to a message from a family member. You speak out loud. The camera head turns toward your voice. It hears you. It sees you. One by one, it handles each task, not through a rigid sequence of commands, but through conversation, through context, through understanding. The Honor Robot phone runs what Honor calls an AI multimodal brain. It is a system that processes visual input, audio input, and contextual data simultaneously and makes decisions based on all of it at once. Most AI assistants work in isolated exchanges. You ask, they answer. The next question starts from zero. There is no continuity, no awareness of the room, the task, or the moment. The Honor Robot phone is different. Its intelligence is always running. The camera is always observing. The AI is continuously building a picture of what is happening around it, who is present, what is on the screen, what task appears to be in progress, and what you are likely to need before you ask. And because all of that processing happens directly on the device, not on a cloud server somewhere across the world, the response is instant. The intelligence lives in the phone. It can scan a document without you holding it up to the camera. It can read a QR code from across a room. It can track a moving subject through an entire video, staying locked even when they pass behind an obstacle. It can decide to reframe a shot because it judged that a better angle was available. These are not responses to your commands. These are decisions the phone makes independently based on its understanding of what you want. This is the behavior of an agent, not a tool. A tool waits to be used. An agent acts on your behalf. The Honor Robot phone is the first smartphone ever built that genuinely earns that word. Here is something most coverage of the Honor Robot phone missed entirely. This phone is not a product launch. It is a declaration. In 2025, Honor unveiled what they call the Alpha Plan, a 5-year, $10 billion commitment to transform from a smartphone manufacturer into a global AI terminal ecosystem. $10 billion. You heard that right. Not toward incremental upgrades, toward a fundamental reimagining of what a technology company is for. To put that number in perspective, $10 billion is roughly the annual GDP of Iceland, the entire productive output of a nation. Honor is committing that to a single vision. The roadmap unfolds in 3 stages. First, build smart devices. Second, build a smart ecosystem where those devices work together. Third, co-create what Honor calls a smart world, where the boundary between digital intelligence and physical reality begins to dissolve. The Honor robot phone is stage 1. The AI system at its core runs a perception reasoning action loop. The same fundamental architecture used in robotics research, miniaturized into something you hold in one hand. The phone perceives the world through cameras, microphones, and sensors. It reasons about what it perceives using on-device processing, and then it acts physically, mechanically, in the real world. Perceive, reason, act. And because all of that happens on the device, your data stays private. No cloud dependency. No round trip to a distant server. The intelligence is yours, running locally at all times. But the Alpha plan isn't just about hardware and AI. Honor made one more move, a partnership so unexpected that it tells you exactly where they're aiming. And the name of that partner will immediately tell you everything. ARRI has been making cameras since 1917. 108 years of making the most respected professional camera systems on Earth. When directors want the absolute best image quality available, they reach for an ARRI. In over a century of existence, ARRI has never put their imaging science into a consumer device. Not once. Their technology has always lived on film sets, in broadcast studios, in the hands of trained cinematographers. Until now. At MWC 2026, Honor and ARRI announced a strategic technical collaboration that will integrate ARRI image science, their color algorithms, their video science, their cinematic rendering pipeline directly into the Honor robot phone. It is the first time in the history of either industry that this has happened. ARRI image science is not a filter. It is not a preset you apply after the fact. It is a deep, physics-based understanding of how light behaves, how color should be recorded and rendered, and how motion in footage should feel to the human eye. It is 100 years of imaging knowledge embedded inside a phone. Combined with the Honor robot phone's robotic gimbal arm, which tracks, tilts, pans, and stabilizes, you get footage that most people would have assumed required a professional crew to capture. You put the phone on a table, you walk into the room, the arm extends, the camera head finds your face, and ARRI image science begins processing every frame. No lighting technician, no camera operator, no editor, just you and a phone that understands what great cinema looks like. The tools that were once reserved for Hollywood are now, for the first time in history, in your pocket. A phone that acts on its own is also a phone that watches on its own. When the camera tracks your face across a room, it is building a spatial model of your environment. When it listens for your voice, it is always processing what it hears. When it schedules meetings and replies to messages without your direct input, it has access to every layer of your digital life. That is a profound level of access, more than any device you have ever owned. Honor has committed to on-device processing. Your data does not leave the phone. The reasoning happens locally. That is a meaningful privacy protection, especially compared to cloud-dependent AI systems that transmit your data elsewhere to function. But the full implications of always-on robotic perception in a personal device are still being understood, even by the people building it. A camera that moves on its own in a room where you have not directed it is genuinely new territory. And new territory deserves thoughtfulness, not fear. Just open eyes. The question you will eventually have to answer is simple. How much autonomy do you give a device that lives in your pocket and knows everything about your life? That is not a reason to reject the Honor robot phone. It is a reason to go into it knowing exactly what you are choosing, because the question is no longer whether this kind of technology is coming. It is already here. Here is the moment that should land for you. For nearly 20 years, the smartphone was the most personal device ever created. It lived in your pocket. It knew your contacts, your location, your messages, your face, your habits, your voice. And in all that time, through every version, every upgrade, every new generation, it never once looked back at you on its own. It never acted without being asked. It never moved without being moved. It sat there and it waited. The Honor Robot Phone ends that era. What Honor unveiled on stage at Mobile World Congress 2026 is a 200-megapixel camera mounted on a titanium robotic arm, engineered to a precision of 0.001 millimeters, powered by an on-device AI brain that perceives, reasons, and acts in real time, backed by a transformation plan worth $10 billion, and carrying ARRI image science, the imaging standard of professional cinema, inside a consumer device for the very first time in history. That is not a spec sheet. That is a statement about what a phone is allowed to be. The device in your pocket today does what you tell it. It waits for your commands. It is fundamentally a tool. The Honor Robot Phone is something different. It sees the world around it. It thinks about what you need. It moves to meet you. It acts on your behalf before you have even asked. It is not a tool you operate. It is a collaborator. China just built the world's first robot phone, and nothing in your pocket or on any shelf, in any store, in any country will ever feel quite the same again.